Jersey Power and Politics. I'm Jim McQueenie. It's one of the year's political catchphrases, compromise. But do state leaders know how to get it done? Well, Dr. Bart Rossi joins us now to explain what's standing in the way of this lost art of compromise, for which you've just written an article for the League of Municipalities magazine on. I don't know, is it a non sequitur in New Jersey politics, compromise?
Well, I think a lot of people really don't know how to compromise. They just are now taking positions one way or the other, a little bit too extreme on one end, too extreme on the other. And it seems like we all compromise every day. Husbands, wives, we compromise with our kids, boyfriends, girlfriends. Everybody can compromise.
Well, we know it doesn't happen in the State House and in New Jersey politics. What would you do if you walked in the door in the legislature and got up on the speaker's podium and said, I'm going to tell you all how to compromise, the art of compromise, a lost art. Here we go. Go ahead.
Right. Well, there's a few points that I think need to be taken. For example, on taxation. Nobody likes the current tax code, the current situation, either nationally or in the state. How about a new system? How about just starting with a new approach? Or how about a bipartisan commission? The president actually did one on a national basis. But how about bipartisan commission? Nobody likes commissions, I understand that.
Well, nobody likes taxes, Bart. And if you started out with that in the Jersey Assembly, I think already they're storming your podium going, hey, Democrats say, how about the millionaires tax? And the Republicans go, are you kidding? And they say, well, how about raising the property tax? They go, are you kidding? And now they go to Dr. Bart for reconciliation, for compromise. What do you say now?
How about a whole new system? Because everybody's got their piece in this whole thing with taxation. And it's not really working. Everybody's got their own view. But maybe a whole new approach to the entire system is what I'm saying might be a nice avenue to at least get this going. And the other thing that gets me is that people start with a particular strategy or a particular idea, and it's one that can never be achieved. I mean, they take a position that you really can't in actuality accomplish. Doesn't work that way. I mean, as I say in the article, you know, Tip O'Neill and Ronald Reagan used to compromise on everything. There were two sides or more than two sides to every issue in their mind.
Okay, 30 years ago, let's put that in the lost art era there. But let's come back to now. Chris Christie in a Democratic legislature who for 2 years have been really fighting here. But as most observers would say, the governor has had the upper edge because the governor has really been tough. And you show here before and said that's one of his attributes that we saw a poll. This people like here in New Jersey. So how do you, and he's not a compromiser. I mean, I think you said that yourself on a previous show.
Well, he likes this tough-minded approach, that's for sure. But he did get a compromise, and he did compromise a little bit with Sheila Oliver and the Senate president, and they compromised with him. I think they got beat up a little bit for compromising, but actually I think they did what they felt was in the best interest of the state. And I think that gets lost a little bit. Sure, maybe they could have handled it a little bit differently. He could have handled his end a little differently. But nonetheless, when you have a compromise, it seems like there is some movement forward. And we have too many individuals in office who are taking pledges, who are extreme on the left, and they're not really looking at all sides of the issue.
Well, some people wouldn't even call Tea Party people compromisers, but Tea Party people say, you know, we can't compromise at this point in time because things are so bad.
Well, the Tea Party, though, has their own conflicts. For example, they like Medicare. They like Medicare, but Medicare is a federal program. But they don't like the federal government.
Right. I saw you have
a conflict.
I saw this summer at a rally, a Tea Party rally. They said "Stop Big Government" and held up a sign, and yet underneath they're supporting Medicaid or
Medicare,
like Medicare. Sorry,
Medicare,
in this case here, and that's as big a big government program as you could ever want.
Yeah, a lot of groups have their own internal conflicts. Certainly the Tea Party does, and you know, maybe doing an analysis of the Tea Party because they don't seem to even like the candidates in their own party. They seem to have an issue with that too.
All right. Well, let's assume that the best thing happened and you delivered at least the instructions to the art of compromise in the Jersey legislature, and we go on from there. Let's take another step out for a second on an issue of psychology in general here on the show, and let's call it political because it is a political issue to some degree. It's a bad issue. Penn State, Joe Paterno, child molestation here. What's your take on that?
Well, this is power in politics. I'll take the power part. I really feel that the football team was directly or indirectly running a great university. It's all about power. And they certainly didn't want to have a blemish on their record. They didn't want to lose any of this power. I mean, it's a lot of money to the university, but they didn't want to lose their power. So rather than deal with values and a real situation and come forward as they were preaching, what did they do? Denial, repression, cover-up. That's why I feel that really Joe Paterno, all the coaches, everybody here is going to have a lot of guilt. And this is not a situation that's going to go away. This is going to grow. They're going to be, a pedophile is somebody who repeats. He's a constant repeat predator. And that's going to come out. And the cover-up is going to be one situation after the other that's been covered up here.
If I could bring it away from that issue, the mess that it is, and bring it back to New Jersey here for a second. Now, as a psychologist, what kind of advice would you give to parents whose children are in sports programs like this, even in colleges here as well as high schools and the like here? What are the signs of something that your child might say about this that isn't directly about it, because it seems it's a conspiracy of silence all the time, right? What can parents pick up that might suggest there's some things not going right that they might want to go into and check?
Anybody that makes you feel uncomfortable. I mean, if you can work with your kids to...
Yeah, but Dr. Bart, football coaches, for God's sakes, I've played for basketball coaches. They make you real uncomfortable because you better win. But that's a different kind of thing.
That's a different kind of uncomfortable. I mean, being anxious or uptight about performance and something like that, that's one thing. However, really focusing on, you know, maybe that extra hand or a hand on your leg, or stuff that's already been coming out with the Penn State issue, where you can see certain behaviors that are above and beyond what anybody would consider normal.
But mostly it's an issue of getting your children to talk to you above all, right?
Yeah,
as you said
any
before.
uncomfortableness.
Very good. Dr. Bart with us. All right, so straight ahead, we're going to wrap up the show. Stay with us. New Jersey Paramount Politics continues right after this.